You transmigrated into the world of tomb raiding and explored every inch of Panjiawan, but you didn't run into a single famous character from the novels. With nothing better to do, you started wandering through massive, ancient tombs. Your terrifying skills quickly made a name for you in the underworld. But instead of keeping the treasures, you donated every single artifact you found to the state, helping the nation reclaim thousands of years of lost history. After being secretly honored as a national hero under an anonymous identity, you vanished without a trace. 18 years later, ancient tombs began emerging one after another, and the official archaeology teams were completely in over their heads. To break the deadlock, the Archaeological Institute invited celebrity Yang Yuyu to host a live stream to attract public attention. But out of nowhere, your 18-year-old daughter, Yi Langer, accidentally uncovered your old tomb exploration diary during a gaming live stream. The contents of the diary were exposed to the public, sending shockwaves across the entire internet. Meanwhile, inside the gaming room, your daughter, Yang Lang, picked up her phone and opened her live streaming account, a playful smile gracing her lips. Looking at the sparse comments floating across the screen, Yi Langer started to feel a bit bored. Just as she was about to log off, her fingers slipped, accidentally switching the camera angle. The lens caught a wolf claw pendant hanging around her neck, bringing it right into the frame. Yi Langer tried to close the app, but her phone froze. Right then, she caught a glimpse of a comment on the screen, and her interest was instantly piqued. Hey, that pendant is pretty cool. Swiftly, she switched the camera back, took off the pendant, and placed it on the blanket. Her tone was casual and easygoing.
No.
Here, take a look. As the phone camera focused on the pendant, the viewer count in the stream started skyrocketing. In an instant, it broke past 10,000. Yi Langer was a bit taken aback, but there her lips curved up in a smile, a sudden wave of accomplishment washing over her. Inside a local archaeological research institute, Bai Chul, a young scholar, stared at the wolf claw pendant on his phone screen, unable to sit still. A Mojing talisman? Could this really be the legendary Mojing talisman?
How is that even possible?
Is it a fake? No, wait. The craftsmanship. This isn't something a modern person could replicate. It's real. It's actually real. Right now, the authorities are heavily investing in archaeology, recruiting talented experts from all over to join the cause. And the most capable of them all are undoubtedly the legendary 4 Mojing sects. But according to some veteran grave robbers, the 4 sects have long been lost to history. That's why even with all the support from the government, archaeological research has struggled to make any real breakthroughs. But now, the sudden appearance of this Mojing amulet, what could it possibly mean?
Bai Chang immediately typed in the chat.
Hey there, miss. Could I ask you a question? Who gave you that pendant? The live stream's viewer count was still skyrocketing, and Bai Ducheng's question was exactly what everyone in the chat was dying to know. At first, people who stumbled into the stream were just curious why an official archaeological scholar was hanging around here. But then they noticed terms like Mojing amulet popping up in the comments. After a quick search, they realized it was the legendary token of the Mojing captains, and only 3 of them were ever made. My dad gave it to me. The moment she said this, the chat went dead silent for a few seconds. Bai Chong quickly typed another line. Miss, what's your father's name? And what does he do? Yi Langer stared at the screen and raised her eyebrow slightly. She suddenly remembered her dad's warning. If any strangers start nosing around about our family, just dodge the question. And don't tell them a thing. She giggled and said in a playful voice, He's called Dad, of course. What else would I call him? Mom? The chat fell dead silent once again. Over at the Archaeological Research Institute, Bai Chong's lip twitched. This girl wasn't going to be easy to fool. But then, he had an idea and quickly followed up. Do you have any other things like that at home? I'm really curious. As his comment floated across the screen, Yi Langer glanced at her rapidly climbing viewer count. That deep desire to show off flared up again. Oh, so you guys are really that interested in my pendant? She smiled, her voice laced with a hint of playful pride. All right then, to tell you the truth. My dad has a secret room. There are so many cool things in there. Do you guys want to see? The moment those words left her mouth, viewers' curiosity instantly exploded. If they could actually get a look inside, they might finally be able to figure out what her father's true background was. Yi Langer watched the comments scrolling rapidly across her screen. Her eyes widened in surprise. Then, a huge grin spread across her face. I'm going viral. If this really takes off, I won't ever have to worry about pocket money again. But she quickly composed herself. Her dad's words echoed in her mind. There's no such thing as a free lunch, unless you've already got your hands on one. But hey, the more you guys want to see, the less I'm going to show you. Who told you to just talk without showing me some love? Her playful teasing left the viewers practically begging for more. A few wealthy viewers couldn't resist and immediately showered her with virtual rockets. The chat exploded. Don't worry, little sister. Your game skins are on me. Quick, show us the secret room. I'll even buy you the new Genshin Impact update. Lead the way. The screen-filling rocket animations left Yi Langer completely stunned. She knew exactly what those rockets meant. Back when she used to watch other streams, she'd see those older streamers thank their donors like crazy every time a rocket popped up. That meant they were worth a ton of real cash. Oh, thank you so much, my lovely sponsors. All right, I'll take you guys to have a look right now. She felt a sudden surge of admiration for her dad. My dad is seriously amazing. He's got so much talent.
Meanwhile, just outside the Chanyu Villa district,
一犯全就挖净除坑界。
whenever it was peak dining hours, this place was always incredibly packed. If his daughter hadn't specifically asked for it, he would have stood in this line for a second. Waiting in line, he noticed quite a few people around him glued to their phones, watching a live archaeological broadcast, but he couldn't care less. After all, the main reason he retired years ago was simply because there were no ancient tombs left that were worthy of his skills. So, he chose to bow out at the peak of his legendary career. These days, the regular archaeological teams could handle the excavations, if they just put in enough effort. And if they couldn't, well, that was their own problem. He glanced around out of sheer boredom and was soon drawn to two young men playing Go nearby. Next to them, a young man holding his phone and watching the live stream stared at Yang Yuyu, clicking his tongue in admiration. She really is a total babe. As expected, man, I wonder who's gonna end up marrying her. That guy is going to be so damn lucky. Meanwhile, the flashing rocket effects on her screen had Yi Lingling grinning from ear to ear. Alrighty, follow me, follow me! She grabbed her phone and quickly stepped out of the game room. The camera cuts to a long, sprawling hallway. In a light, teasing voice, she says, "Don't be in such a rush, guys. My house is just a little too big. I have to run all the way down to the basement." The viewers who thought they could buy Yi Lingling over with just a little cash are now staring in absolute shock. Holy crap, is this a luxury mansion? Just how massive is this place? I could literally run a 50-meter dash in this hallway. This girl is probably just happy to see the rocket gift effects. If she knew that only cost a few thousand yuan each, she probably wouldn't even give us the time of day. The stream chat is completely exploding with shock. So this is what they call being born at the finish line. Oh my god! The next second, the phone camera pans across the long hallway. Rows of exquisite paintings are hanging on both walls. Yuan, who isn't athletic at all, slows down after just a few steps. Seeing the chat begging her to point the camera at the paintings, she tilts her head slightly, a bit confused. Are these paintings even better looking than game skins? Han Yimlin glances at the screen and sees the chat in absolute disbelief. A smug sense of superiority washes over her, but she still teases. Wait, doesn't your family have paintings like these? That is so sad. Hurry up and ask your parents to buy some. She pans across the paintings, showing them one by one. The more she shows, the more the stream's popularity skyrockets. What do you mean, not sure? These paintings are definitely not simple. We're all going to jail just for watching this. Anyone who buys these is going straight to prison. My hands are literally shaking right now. This girl is 100% a grave robber's daughter. She's definitely going down today. Someone call 110. We need to drag her to the archaeological front lines to dig up tombs. Even though the chat is in an absolute frenzy, Yi Lingling doesn't pay much attention. She just keeps pointing her camera at anything in her house that looks pretty. When the stream's popularity count breaks past 1 million and the decimal point stops showing, she blinks and says with a grin, all right, I'll take you to the secret room instead. I'll let you guys see my dad's prized treasures." The moment those words leave her mouth, the suspense is cranked up to the absolute max. The stream's popularity is exploding again. Meanwhile, inside a local archaeological research institute, Bai Cheng stares at the ancient paintings, each rich with deep historical value. His breathing grows faster and more erratic. Wow, this grave robber actually has some serious skills. You can tell at a glance that these are priceless treasures. First, we had that infamous "my dad is Li Gong" scandal. And now, we've got a little girl showing off her grave robber dad. Outstanding. Truly outstanding. He takes a deep breath to steady his racing heart. Hey, old one, I've got a massive cultural relic smuggling case on my hands. Are you interested? Haha, don't rush. First, use the Skynet tracking system to locate a user who's currently live streaming on the Quato app under the name Little Genius. Yes, that's right. The owner of the account shouldn't be there right now. It's just his daughter. She accidentally went live to show off her game skins and ended up exposing all the rare antiques in their house. Hurry up. Don't let anyone else beat us to it. After hanging up, a smirk slowly plays across Bai Cheng's lips. He had been scratching his head, wondering how to recruit a master grave robber like this. But now, who needs an introduction? This is a textbook case of redeeming oneself through cooperation. And he'll get to add a massive achievement to his own resume. He switches back to the live streaming app, staring at the endless stream of priceless antiques flashing across the screen. His face twitches in disbelief. Just how many national treasures did this grave robber steal? This is outrageous. Slowly, his hands clench into fists, completely swept up in his own righteous anger. Old Wum, what is it? A few minutes later, his phone rings. Hello? We tracked the location. Bai Cheng, are you sure you didn't make a mistake? Are you absolutely sure this little genius is a grave robber? And you're sure they are smuggling relics? What on earth is going on? Spill it. The IAPRI address points directly to Chanya Villa in Sioux City. You know about Chanya Villa, right? It's a place where money alone can't buy you a home. Now that I've spelled it out, surely you understand? Wait. Hold on a second.
Of course Bai Chong knows about Chenyavola.
It's one of the most prestigious, ultra-luxury neighborhoods in the country. The residents there don't just represent extreme wealth. They represent the absolute pinnacle of social status. Living there basically means you have made monumental contributions to the nation. Once, a top scientist was specially gifted a villa here just for developing a 3-nanometer chip.
That's how prestigious this place is.
And how could a tomb raider who steals cultural relics live in a place like that? It's not like a grave robber could have made some historic contribution to society, right? Just thinking about it. That's impossible. There is definitely something fishy going on here. Old Long had already hung up the phone. All right, everyone, watch closely. My dad's secret chamber door is really cool. Meanwhile, He Ling Ling, who had run for several minutes to finally reach the basement, was ready to open the secret room. The comment section and bullet chat were still exploding with excitement. The appearance of those antiques had already blown the viewers' minds. Now, Yu Ling's words pushed their anticipation through the roof. On the live stream, Yi Linging stood in front of a door. At first glance, there was nothing special about it. But when she raised her hand to touch the wall, the entire wall actually began to ripple, like the surface of water. Then, with a soft goosh, it slowly parted from the middle. How's that? Cool, right? Have you guys ever seen anything like this before? Oh, you poor things! The viewers in the live stream fell completely silent. It wasn't that they had never seen this way of opening a door before. On the contrary, they saw it all the time on one specific type of stream. Archaeology live streams. Holy crap! What on earth does this girl's dad do for a living? To actually have this kind of mechanism door installed at home? Are you kidding me? Some experts analyzed this before. This kind of smooth mortise and tenon mechanism door cannot even be replicated with today's technology. Seriously, guys. Do you think her dad literally stole the entrance door of some ancient tomb? Just the craftsmanship alone has baffled generation after generation of master artisans. The stream was getting wilder and wilder. The viewership numbers were skyrocketing. He Langing looked at the comments flashing past like a blur. She couldn't even make out what the viewers were saying anymore. So she simply stopped looking, and with a smile, pushed open the mysterious door. Hey everyone, didn't your dads ever leave you a secret base? Look, this is what my dad left for me. Pretty cool, huh? In the next second, all kinds of Loryang shovels appeared on the screen, along with grappling hooks, climbing ladders, and various types of flexible armor. Basically, every piece of grave-robbing gear you could possibly imagine was right there in the secret room, fully stocked. At this moment, the entire live stream was utterly dumbfounded. Are you freaking kidding me? You call this a secret base? This is straight up a tomb-robbing base. Busted. This is solid proof. Your dad is definitely a tomb raider, and a seasoned veteran at that. Well. Congrats, kid. You just successfully landed your own dad behind bars. The chat instantly exploded as the live stream was pushed to the homepage. A massive wave of traffic flooded in. Tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of viewers. Wow, there are so many people. She waved at the camera, her voice filled with pride. She couldn't wait to brag to her friends later about being a big-time streamer. But with more people, acceptable voices started popping up. Tomb raiders. How could there still be underground tomb raiders these days? If they were really that skilled, the government would have recruited them a long time ago. And keeping so many relics just sitting in your house, it's not like you'd never have guests over. Once people see them, the secret is out. So I bet it's all fake. Exactly. 80% of those so-called antiques are probably high-end fakes. A lot of rich people love collecting this kind of stuff nowadays. They might not have bought fakes on purpose, though. Maybe they just got scammed and bought them thinking they were the real deal. As the viewers went back and forth in the chat, Hidok, who had been in high spirits, saw the screen filled with doubts.
And her face fell.
What? How could they be fake? My dad brought all of this back. They're all real. All real? Haha. The viewers found her serious attitude hilarious. What does a little kid know about real or fake? Look, just look. This shovel definitely isn't fake. On the screen, the Loyal shovel clearly had a lot of dirt left on it. Well, that's interesting. The weathering on this prop actually looks pretty realistic. It looks way better than the ones in those tomb-robbing movies. Li Linning looked at the chat, feeling more and more frustrated. She could accept people calling her mischievous, not pretty enough, or not cute enough. But what she absolutely could not stand was them doubting her dad. At this very moment, her competitive, stubborn streak was completely triggered. Just look at this. There's no way this stuff is fake. How could it possibly be fake? As the gear Xiaomu needs is revealed one after another, the viewers in the live stream become even more convinced of their theory. What Tomb Raider? He's clearly just a master craftsman. Or maybe just a hardcore fan of tomb raiding movies. Just look at how detailed and perfectly weathered these props are. The guy's definitely got some serious skills. Meanwhile, inside the local archaeological institute, Bai Chong, who had been absolutely certain this was a real Tomb Raider, looks at the comments in the chat and starts to waver. A hardcore fan of tomb raiding movies? If that's true, then his hopes are about to be crushed again. Just as he is wallowing in disappointment, a stunning piece of inner armor suddenly appears on the screen. The legendary Juzi Pansan armor. This is the legendary soft armor belonging to the Panton Taoists, one of the 4 major tomb raiding schools. This is the real deal. Oh my god. Every tomb raiding school has its own secret treasures, and most people have never seen them in their entire lives. But this Juzi Pankan armor actually appeared once before. I was lucky enough to see it myself at an antique convention years ago, and I witnessed exactly what it can do. It's actually moving. Yiling is startled by this sudden turn of events. She takes a step back in fear, loses her balance, and falls flat on her butt. With a loud thud, her right hand accidentally bumps into something next to her. Click. The very next second, the ground starts to shake slightly. It feels just like an earthquake, but it only lasts for a moment before stopping. Bi Lingli doesn't pay much attention to this minor shake. She scrabbles to her feet, frantically checking if her phone is broken. But when she looks up, she's hit with a tidal wave of shocked comments. Holy crap, you've got to be kidding me. Is this actually real? My god. If this incredibly rare Juzi Pansan armor is the real deal, does that mean everything we just saw could actually be real too? Oh man, I actually thought it was fake. This is absolutely insane. Hey, Wang, are you watching the stream? The one by that young genius? I see it. Holy hell, this is a guaranteed first-class merit. Just you wait. The moment we catch this guy, I'm sending him straight to your research institute. You're going to achieve a historic victory for China's archaeological field. Let's go, Bai Chong.
老王，买爷爷 promotion。
All depends on you. Baekchul hung up the phone with a deep sigh, and the fire that had just died down in his heart flared up once again. Since it was now certain that this guy was indeed a grave robber, the next step was to see just how skilled he really was, and whether he could help the archaeological team break through their current dilemma. If he could, his promotion would be as good as secured. If he could, just as he was thinking this, the live stream display switched to a new item. It was a pitch black umbrella. It looked completely ordinary, but even through the screen, it seemed to exude a thick, heavy, and ominous aura, sending a chill down everyone's spine. As that, just a worn-out umbrella. No freaking way! That's a Vajra umbrella. There are only 3 of them left in the entire world. Little ancestor, who on earth is your dad? Is your dad actually a mountain-moving Taoist? Wait, no. How could a mountain-moving Taoist also possess a touch gold talisman? Are you freaking kidding me? It wasn't just Bai Yi who was getting worked up. Several other grave robbers who preferred to remain anonymous also started popping up in the chat. What? A Vajroa umbrella? No way. It really is a Vajra umbrella. Look at the craftsmanship and the texture. It's absolutely the real deal. Once, when I went down a tomb, I ran into something incredibly sinister and almost got killed by the evil energy. Thank God a mysterious person showed up and blocked it with a Vajra umbrella to ward off the evil. That's right. I saw one at my great-grandmother's place when I was a kid, and it looked exactly like this, especially that sheer, intimidating aura. It's absolutely the real deal. Holy crap, the chat is full of grave robbers. You guys just watched the live stream instead of volunteering for the official archaeological team. You don't care about our country's heritage at all. Mortal guilt tripping may be late, but it always arrives. Normally, these grave robbers would run for the hills right about now. But not this time. It was as if they were witnessing the signs of an underground king's return. The touch gold talisman, the Vajra umbrella, and the mountain digging armor, each and every one of them is a legendary tomb raiding tool. When all these items belong to just one person, the significance is simply massive. Lingli watched the screen, filled with excitement and arguments. Honestly, she didn't really understand a lot of the terms they used. But one thing was clear. It seemed like no one was doubting her dad anymore. See? I told you guys. How could my dad's stuff possibly be fake? And get this. My dad even married the superstar Yang Yuyu. The viewers, who were still reeling from the shock, couldn't help but crack up on the spot when they heard this. Now you're just talking out of your ass. Oh boy, she's really spinning a yarn now. Married Yang Yuyu? Look, I might actually believe it if you said your dad was a tomb raider, but saying he married Yuyu, no way in hell I'm buying that. Oh my god! Oh my god! What? Haha, please! No way. Fine, I'll go show you their kissing photos right now. Wait, for real? As soon as she said this, the viewers in the live stream chat were actually a bit stunned. They even started to wonder if it could actually be true. But just as Yi Lingling turned around to open the door, she was shocked to find that the door wouldn't budge. Huh? What's going on? This door used to open just like this. I want to open now. That's so weird. Oh dear.
Well, this is awkward.
Looking at the comments, Yi Lingling gritted her teeth in frustration. But on second thought, her mom did warn her never to reveal their true identity. At that thought, a cold sweat broke out down her spine. That was close. So close. Thank goodness those silly uncles took it as a joke. She let out a long sigh of relief and decided to change the subject, to continue bragging about her dad's gear. Oh, right. Let me show you my dad's seal. This seal looks so cool. There are even characters carved on the bottom. Something like, "Heaven's officials bless us, no taboos allowed." Following the shocked comments from a few seasoned Tomb Raiders, many viewers were utterly confused, wondering why the guys in the chat were getting so worked up over a single seal. If it were just an ordinary seal, you could indeed carve whatever you wanted on it. But it was carved with "Heaven's officials bless us, no taboos allowed." Then the meaning was completely different. The four great factions of tomb raiding, being Mojian,
变善, Xiling, and Falq.
among them, Falq refers to the Falq heavenly officials, who wielded a special seal, known as the Falq seal. It is the ultimate symbol of supreme authority in the tomb raiding world. If you want more details, just look it up yourself online. That legendary figure from back then has already been brought out of the tomb. So, in short, if this seal is the real deal, then this girl's dad must be someone of absolutely insane status. This quick history lesson left the viewers completely dumbfounded. Meanwhile, at the local archaeological research institute, Baikyoung stared at the live chat, feeling a sudden jolt of shock in his chest. As an archaeologist, he had always looked down on those underground tomb raiders. But listening to Bai's explanation, he now had a rough idea of what the Falq seal actually was. Still, he found it hard to believe that someone who possessed a Mojin talisman could also own a Falq seal at the same time. But if both of them are real, doesn't that mean this guy's skills might be even more terrifying than that legendary figure from back then? At that thought, Baicheng's heart began to race with excitement. The more powerful this tomb raider was, the more guaranteed his year-end promotion would be. Back on the live stream, Billy wasn't paying much attention to the comments. She walked straight to her desk, picked up a seal her dad usually used as a paperweight for calligraphy, and held it right up to the camera. "Look, everyone, this is just what my dad uses to hold down his paper." As the bronze seal, carved in the shape of a wolf's head, appeared on screen, the chat erupted in an even wilder frenzy. A bronze seal shaped like a wolf's head, and on the bottom, it's engraved with, "Blessings from heavenly officials, no taboos." Just one look at it strikes absolute terror into your heart. And it's actually in this girl's dad's hands? Who on earth is her father? As the wave of comments slowed, the entire live stream fell into a stunned silence. Holy crap! He's a Mojin Xiaowei, a Banshan Daren, and a Falq Jianguan all at the same time. Are you kidding me? Mastering even one of these ancient sects would make someone a legendary master in the tomb raiding world. But this guy mastered all three sects? That is absolutely insane. Kid, who on earth is your dad? What's his name? Tell us. Are there any hackers here? Quick, dox him and find out. A man like this needs to be recruited into the archaeology department to serve the country. My dad's name is Dad. How do you guys not even know that? You uncles are so silly. Her innocent reply instantly left the viewers completely speechless. Yet, there was absolutely nothing they could do about her. And just like that, the live chat exploded, frantically calling for Baicheng, urging him to get in touch with the guy immediately. At this moment, Baicheng was sweating bullets too. A tomb raider who possessed the heritage of the three great Mojin schools would be an invaluable asset to the archaeological team's excavations. He had to secure this person, no matter what. Hey, old Wang, how's the situation over there? Have you reached the Chiba Villa district yet? Old Bai, you seriously have no idea what kind of place this is. Even though I used the authority of Code 9527, the security guard at the gate didn't give a damn. He even had the nerve to lecture me on the law, insisting that I show him a search warrant. Otherwise, he'd call the cops on us. I damn near lost my mind and almost threw hands with him right then and there. And I could call the cops? I am the law. It's obvious he's just using that as an excuse to keep us out. Right now, forget about finding the guy. We can't even get into the neighborhood. Hearing this, Baicheng shuddered. He had heard rumors about the Chiba Villa district before, but he never expected it to be this heavily guarded. Flashing their badges would have gotten them into any other residential area in a heartbeat. But this place, Old Wan. Did you not see the live stream just now? The father of that young genius is actually a Falq heavenly officer. That means he has mastered the techniques of all three tomb raiding sects combined. We absolutely must recruit someone like him into our archaeological team. What? He's a Mojin lieutenant too? Holy crap. That's basically 1.5 first-class merits handed to us on a silver platter. I'm scaling the wall. We can deal with the consequences later. I was trying to get the tech department to trace the kid's identity, but for some reason, over there, the screen showed insufficient clearance. I'll let you know the moment I get some solid info. All right, Baicheng replied, hanging up the phone. But those words, insufficient clearance, kept echoing in his mind. Was it really just a system glitch? Or was this person's identity so sensitive that the higher-ups had put a lock on it for security? At that thought, a shiver ran down Baicheng's spine. Meanwhile, on the live stream. Hold on a second, I'm going to peel an apple first. My dad's fruit knife is super handy for peeling apples. You guys should totally buy one too. She adjusted the camera angle, deliberately keeping her face out of the frame and only showing the lower half of her body in her school uniform. Then she skillfully starts peeling an apple. But what she doesn't realize is that the stream's popularity is skyrocketing to a whole new level. Holy crap, what the hell is that? If I remember correctly, That's the Xiling chief's Yao Xinfeng dagger. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
I once saw a portrait of Yashin Feng at the home of a Xiling senior.
He said that once the divine wind reappears in the world, even if he's just a bag of old bones, he would drag himself up to pay respects to the chief, the legendary weapon of the Xiling chief. Wait, no.
Who on earth is this girl's family? Why does she even have the Yashin Feng?
Don't tell me her dad is actually a Xiling chief. Are you freaking kidding me? Wait, Suking 13 Elementary! Holy crap, that's her school uniform. Quick, does anyone have a kid at Suking 13 Elementary? In an instant, Yilingling's uniform is recognized. The school's name is exposed. The stream viewers excitedly start asking around, and related search topics immediately shoot to the top of the Weibo hot search list.
The hype is so insane that it completely crushes Wang Feng's new song announcement today, stealing his spotlight yet again.
The principal of Sucheng 13th Elementary is completely bewildered, thinking to himself, the kids at our school are all good and well-behaved. Whose dad could possibly be a grave robber? Yilingling also seems to notice that her school uniform is showing. Her dad's words suddenly flash in her mind. No matter what photos or videos you take, always protect your privacy. You must never let anything slip. Otherwise, weird uncles will come and kidnap you. At that thought, she immediately flips the camera away. She lets out a long sigh of relief. Phew, that was close. Luckily, those uncles are all big dummies. Her voice isn't loud, but the viewers hear it clear as day. Oh man, this brat actually called us dummies. She's way too cheeky. We've got to track her down and teach her a lesson. Wait, brothers, look at that notebook. Why does the cover say archaeology journal on it? Could this be that master's journal? In an instant, everyone's attention is drawn to it. Holy crap! An archaeology journal? What archaeology journal? That's clearly a grave-robbing diary. Oh man, my curiosity is piqued all over again. I bet it records the secrets of that legendary Mojin master. Hey, little classmate, stop eating the apple. Hurry up and open your dad's diary. Let us uncle see what's actually written inside. Amidst the flood of comments, Yilingling also catches sight of the journal that her dad has never allowed her to touch. She drops the Shanfeng dagger and the apple. Picking up the diary. Wait, Dad's archaeology diary? Actually, this is my tomb robbing diary. Holy crap. Holy crap. Nice, nice, nice. Talk about a dutiful daughter. Good girl, good girl. Hurry up and open that diary so we can all have a look. Otherwise, he might get a few more years added to his prison sentence. Haha. Inside the Archaeology Research Institute, Bai Chong's mouth was twitching so hard it was about to cramp. He thought to himself, this dad has some serious nerve. How could he leave a diary detailing his crimes right there on his desk? And he even let his daughter just grab it like that. Yet, an uncontrollable look of excitement washed over his face. The more crimes exposed in this tomb-robbing diary, the easier it would be to get this dad to cooperate and redeem himself later. Meanwhile, Yulingli had absolutely no idea what operating a sewing machine meant. All right. Then let's let my dad do some more sewing for a few more years. The moment those words left her mouth, the livestream chat exploded with comments like, so dutiful, and what an incredibly loyal— Yulingling's lips curled up. Her grin was harder to suppress than the recoil of an AK. Haha, sunny day. Today old Wang told me an ancient tomb was discovered to the west. That very first line instantly sent wild waves through the viewers' hearts. Ha! The camera slowly panned down. Yilingling continued to read aloud. The tomb to the west must be pretty important. So I went over there and found a guide. Who knew the old geezer actually tried to kill me for my money? Had no choice but to take him out. That simple, chilling line instantly plunged the live stream chat into dead silence. Yilingli couldn't understand what they were talking about, nor did she know what "take him out" actually meant. Shrug it off, she continued. So I went to find the tomb by myself. The place was pretty well hidden. Made some ants along the way. They were massive and they bit. A bit of a pain to deal with. But it was no big deal. I just set them on fire and burned them all. After that, I found the entrance to the tomb, near an old temple. It went pretty smoothly at first, until I ran into a zonzi, a zombie, and it was quite a handful. I didn't bring a black donkey's hoof with me at the time. But after that, things went smoothly again. Except when I finally saw the owner of the tomb, things got weird. They actually hadn't aged a single day. Maybe that's just a trait of the Demon Queen. The viewers of the live chat were left completely puzzled by this final section. It's not some kind of eternal youth thing. How could anyone in this world stay young forever? This is starting to sound way too bizarre. Don't tell me her dad just made this whole diary up. Isn't this story a bit too fake? Yeah, I think it's a bit fake too. It feels like he just scribbled down whatever came to mind. Actually, I have a theory. What if this girl's dad is actually just a second-generation tomb raider who simply inherited all these family relics from his ancestors and wrote this whole passage out of sheer boredom? Honestly, that possibility is highly likely. The live chat erupted into a heated debate. Even the seasoned Tomb Raiders jumped in, agreeing that this theory was highly probable.
After all, if someone really possessed the legacy of all four great sects, how could they resist the urge to raid tombs?
If I had inherited the secrets of even one of those sects, I would have raided half a dozen ancient tombs long ago. Hey, watch your words. We're all registered with Bureau 952, and we washed our hands of those things a long time ago. These comments made Yu Lingling feel incredibly uncomfortable. She was even a bit disgusted. What do you mean? My dad wrote this. How could it possibly be fake? You're all just talking nonsense. Whether it's real or fake, your dad would have to personally show up for us to know for sure. Exactly. This is just an ordinary diary.
What's so special about it? If I wanted to, I could write an entire novel. Inside the local archaeological research institute,
Baitong stared at the comments on the screen, and the same doubt began to grow in his mind. The contents of the diary were indeed so simple that they felt fake. A massive ancient tomb was solved, just like that. Summarized in a mere couple of hundred words, but even though it felt fake, a faint voice in the back of his mind kept warning him of something.
especially after what one Q Hyatt said earlier about insufficient clearance.
But no matter how much he suspected this might be real,
Facing the current reality,
it didn't really help much. On the live stream screen, as Yu Lingling listened to everyone's remarks, she pouted in anger. With that, she turned around and walked toward the door, reaching out to push and pull at it, but the door didn't budge an inch.
she tried again, but it still wouldn't open.
All right.
Let's drop this. Keep showing us the treasures in your house.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just pretend your dad is a grave robber, okay? Watching these comments flood the screen, Yu Lingling felt her anger boiling over,
She bit her lip hard.
her eyes welling with tears. Out of sadness, mind you, but pure, unadulterated rage. Don't believe me? Fine. With a sharp swipe of her finger,
The live stream went pitch black instantly.
holy crap, she actually shut it down?
Wait, don't go.
I still wanted to see those grave-robbing tools.
Typical kid's temper. Whatever, let's go watch the official archaeological team's stream instead.
Although the stream was offline,
The chat messages were still flying across the dark screen.
Yuling's eyes caught the words, archaeology livestream.
fueled by curiosity, she tapped into the main directory. A second later, her eyes were locked onto the most popular stream. To her shock, there on the screen was her own mother, Yen Yuyu.
Wait, Mom went to join the archaeological team's stream?
Mom's so mean. She didn't even bring me along.
Dad taught me so many cool tricks.
If she brought me, I could have definitely
Helped her. She was just about to text her mom to complain when a sudden spark lit up in her head. Wait, aren't they exploring an ancient tomb? Dad taught me so much stuff.
I can just give them a few tips. At that thought,
A tiny mischievous smirk crept onto Yuling's face. It was a look of pure mischief and absolute confidence.
Mom, your darling daughter is coming to save the day.
Meanwhile, over on the Nuxin Mountain livestream, the atmosphere was incredibly tense. The faces of the experts on screen looked grim.
The team leader, Guanmen, was a man well into his 60s. Though his hair was silver, he still looked incredibly sharp and robust.
We still can't find the entrance to the main tomb.
The middle-aged man speaking was the deputy leader.
His name was Zhao Jusen.
He shook his head with a grim expression. Elder Gu, last month, a landslide occurred in Jesheshes.
The tectonic movement was extremely violent.
An entrance we previously discovered is now completely gone. Even trying to pinpoint it by comparing our existing data won't do much good. Besides, this area is plagued by fierce blizzards.
Even the special ops team doesn't dare to charge in blindly.
You know as well as I do. Once you sink into a swamp like this, there's basically no getting out alive.
Right now, all we can do is wait for the geological experts to scan the area with precision instruments to pinpoint the exact location of the Grand Tomb.
But storms gather without warning.
Hearing this, Guan sighed helplessly.
Then he turned and ordered the nearby archaeologists. You guys go use the Loyang shovel to gather some soil samples nearby.
Let's see if we can make a preliminary judgment based on the age of the soil layers.
If we can narrow down the search area before the instrument results are out, that would be a huge help.
The group immediately nodded.
Each grabbed a Loyang shovel and set off in different directions.
As the only non-professional on the scene, Yan Liu was getting a bit bored. She instinctively glanced at the live stream chat and asked casually, "By the way, do any of you guys know how to locate a tomb? If you do, please share some tips." Hearing her question, the viewers in the live stream immediately went wild.
The chat instantly erupted. But when it came down to it, most of them were just there for the drama. How could they possibly know the actual tricks of tomb hunting?
The 499 of the person who sent the message was none other than Little Genius.
Since you're asking so sincerely,
I shall be merciful and grant you the answer.
the moment that comment scrolled across the screen, the entire live stream fell silent.
For 1 second.
Wait. Why is this account completely empty?
Wait, Doesn't that 499 look familiar? Aren't you just a descendant of grave robbers? What do you know about tomb hunting? Holding her hone, Yilingling stared at these mocking comments, but her grin only grew wider and more confident. Finding a tomb. Finding a tomb. Is it really that hard? She closed her eyes. Memories suddenly flooded back into his mind. Back when he used to go out with his dad, he'd occasionally pester him to teach him how to locate tombs. Fanqing couldn't say no to him, so he had to agree. But every single time they found one, they never actually went down into the tomb. He would only point to it from a distance and explain the principles of feng shui and the flow of the land. The mountain veins pulse and the waters flourish. Homes for the living, graves for the dead. Azure dragon on the left, white tiger on the right, vermilion bird in front, black tortoise in back. She chanted silently in her mind. Her eyes fell upon the endless mountain range on the live stream screen. An indescribable intuition slowly began to take shape in her mind, just like when she used to stand atop the highest peaks with her dad. The flow of the mountains, the direction of the water, the rising and dispersing of the mist. Every single detail was automatically falling into place. Finding graves is way easier than studying. She opened her eyes again, with a level of certainty that didn't match her age at all. She looked at the ground beneath Yang Yu's feet on the screen and smiled. Lowering her voice, she muttered to herself, "Mummy, Lingling is secretly helping you right now. When you get back, you have to buy me fried chicken." Back in the live stream, Yang Yu looked at the surging chat activity, feeling a bit uneasy, especially that username, Little Genius. Why did it look so much like her daughter's Kuedo 499? But on second thought, tons of people must use a name like that. It has to be a coincidence. My husband is probably eating a home-cooked dinner with our daughter right now. Yeah, that must be it. She was spacing out when another message from Little Genius popped up in the chat. Using a Loyang shovel to find graves is only for amateurs. True pros read the mountains, the waters, and the flow of energy. Every tomb in the world is bound by the Fuxi Feng Shui 83 grams. The words sounded incredibly cryptic and mysterious.
要拥有股木耳膜，肯非是学来。
The clueless viewers in the chat were also completely baffled, wondering what kind of nonsense she was spouting now. But the veteran grave robbers watching the stream all sat up straight. Holy crap, a pro! This is definitely a real master. Yes, this is insane. Anyone can tell this is a real tomb raiding grandmaster. It must be that girl's dad. He's back. Watching the chaotic chat, Yilingli felt increasingly smug. She was currently using voice-to-text to copy and send paragraphs directly from her dad's tomb raiding diary. As she sent the message, she couldn't help but think how incredible her dad really was. Even though she didn't really understand a word of it, it sounded absolutely mind-blowing. The only reason she posted it, because she remembered her dad once telling her that when people don't believe you, you just have to throw some complicated jargon at them that they can't possibly grasp. The more mysterious you act, the media DNPs, the more they'll think you're some kind of profound genius. Thinking back on it now, Yilingling felt even more convinced that her dad was a total legend. She cleared her throat and continued reading another passage from the diary. Voice-to-text converted her words and sent them to the live chat. To find the dragon, look to the mountains and trace the... Each winding peak is a hidden pass. From what I can see, the main burial chamber should be exactly 1 kilometer to the southeast. There's no need to use a Loyang shovel. After years of tectonic shifts, the soil layers have completely mixed together. Even if you use a Loyang shovel to take a sample, it won't have any reference value. As soon as the comment appeared, the live chat erupted once again. Holy crap, what does any of this even mean? I have no idea, but it sounds insanely professional. It actually sounds like he knows what he's talking about. But didn't we already establish that this girl's dad is just some second-generation fake master? He's probably just all talk. Doubts continue to flood the stream. The guy above me is right. Talk is cheap. Anyone can spout nonsense like that. Even I could make that up. This made Zheng Yu hesitate even more. She had no idea she should report this to Professor Gu Wen'er. Just then, Theng Guan noticed the conflicted look on Yang Yu's face. He asked her in a gentle tone, "What is it, Jiayan? It's something on your mind?" His tone was incredibly warm, lacking any of the sternness he had shown earlier when dealing with Director Zhao. He sounded just like a kind elder caring for a junior. Professor Go. We found it! We found the exact location of the main burial chamber.
The Iran spirit surged.
His squinted eyes snapping wide open. What? Where is it? The geologist quickly handed over the freshly printed report. He pointed to the dense rows of data and began explaining it in detail. The Yuren listened for a moment, nodding his head slightly. Finally, he summarized. So, to put it simply, using our current position as the center, it is 1 kilometer to the southeast. The young scholar froze, then nodded in deep agreement. The surrounding archaeological team members, who had been listening intently, burst into praise. As expected of Elder Go, all those technical terms were giving me a massive headache. But Elder Gu just summed it up and nailed it instantly. The young scholar scratched his head sheepishly, his respect for Guanan growing even deeper. Standing nearby, Yang Yu also let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, he thought.
We finally found it. Standing nearby, Yang Juyu also let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, he thought. We finally found it. But just as that thought crossed his mind, his expression suddenly stiffened. He whipped his head down, staring at his phone screen where the live stream chat was going wild, spamming "holy crap" over and over. Wait. If he remembered correctly, the viewer with the username Little Genius had just predicted this exact same direction and distance. Was this just a coincidence? Or did that viewer actually know what they were talking about? Yang Yu's mind raced, completely torn. He hesitated for a moment, deciding not to speak up just yet. Getting one location right could easily be a lucky guess. Only if they could provide more details that matched up. Would it be worth reporting to Professor Go? But while Yang Yu was agonizing in silence, the live stream chat had completely exploded. Wait, what is happening? I'm so confused right now. Could that guy's classmate's dad actually be the real deal? Over at the local archaeological research institute, Bai Cheng jumped to his feet in sheer excitement. He didn't even notice his chair crashing to the floor. Holy crap. This guy's absolutely a master Tomb Raider. He's calling the shots from behind a screen. A genius. A total genius. Holy crap, this guy is absolutely a master Tomb Raider. He's calling the shots from behind a screen. A genius. A total genius. Damn it. Since when does an elite like me, Agent 9527, ever do such shady, underhanded things? If this works out, you have to buy me a massive dinner. No, actually, you have to buy for our entire team. Pachong didn't have time for his banter and immediately explained everything he had just seen on the live stream. The voice on the other end of the line instantly shot up several decibels. What? You're telling me that Tomb Raider is actually live streaming right now? Awesome. Now I'm even more motivated. Haha, 2 first-class merits, here I come. Just be careful out there. Pai Chung warned him before hanging up. He suppressed his excitement and went back to watching the live stream. On the screen, Yang Yu watched as the viewers kept urging her on, her anxiety growing by the second. After hesitating again and again, she finally took a step forward, walked up to Gu Ran, and said, "Elder Gu, there is a situation that I need to report to you." Instantly, the eyes of every archaeologist on site snapped toward her, except for Gu Anan, who still wore a warm smile. Everyone else had extremely grim expressions. They had never approved of Yan Yu's presence here in the first place, and even saw her as a complete nuisance. What was all this talk about finding extraordinary talents to help? We were just a bunch of low-life grave robbers. What the hell did they know about archaeology? Bringing them here is just asking for total destruction. But these orders had come directly from the higher-ups, leaving them with absolutely no room to protest. Besides, since the lead professor himself didn't mind, they could only swallow their grievances and keep their mouths shut. Ju-Wan nodded gently. What's wrong, Yang?
杨用玉吐个地霸
And repeated word for word what the viewer named Little Genius had said in the live stream. As Guraner listened, his expression gradually grew serious. He fell into deep thought. The world is vast and filled with endless wonders. Perhaps there really are such extraordinary talents out there. He felt a flicker of hope and curiosity. After all, the higher-ups had found many so-called talents over the years, but most of them did nothing but make a mess of things. Suddenly, a young scholar wearing black-rimmed glasses and a rather plain face stepped forward, pushing his glasses up his nose. His voice dripped with blatant contempt. I think that viewer, Little Genius, only sent that comment after hearing Professor Gu's summary. So by the time you noticed it, Miss Yang, you mistakenly thought it was sent at the same time, or even before the professor spoke. In reality, it's just an illusion caused by a simple lag in information. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding scholars began to chime in. Exactly. That's definitely the most likely scenario. Yeah, how could anyone locate a tomb just by looking at a screen? If they really had that kind of power, why would they even hide it? Shi Rulong has a point. Miss Yang, are you sure your eyes aren't playing tricks on you? Listening to the chatter around him. Thinking with, Professor Gunna's brow furrowed slightly. He didn't quite understand how live streams worked, but Shi Rulong's words had clearly swayed the crowd, leaving him unable to say much more at the moment. In fact, it left him feeling rather stuck.
小养银可药行的视觉
Let me know if you spot anything else. Looking at Professor Gu's helpless expression, Yang Gui instantly understood the subtext. He actually wanted to believe her, but under the circumstances, he couldn't openly take her side anymore. She lowered her head and bit her lip, but that comment had definitely appeared first. She was 100% sure of it. Taking a deep breath, she composed herself and looked back down at her phone. Meanwhile, the stream's chat had completely erupted. Seriously? What is there to even doubt? What the hell? Can the archaeological team stop acting up? A master Tomb Raider finally showed up, and just pointing out the location like that is proof enough of his skill. Your constant doubts are only going to alienate him. The viewer named Bai sent a long comment. Even if we don't know the full extent of his skills yet, being able to read the landscape and pinpoint the tomb through a screen shows he possesses incredible expertise. We have to keep this kind of talent around. However, The doubters were just as loud. Maybe it was just a fluke. After all, this tomb was discovered a few months ago.
What if some criminals stuck in after that?
That's probably how they were able to nail the exact location. Honestly, that actually makes sense. Hey. For all we know, someone else already cleared this place out. Are you guys seriously forgetting that after the muck? Think the entire landscape was completely altered? No way you could rely on old info to find anything. Stop blindly hating. In an instant, the live stream's comment section split into two fierce camps, locked in a relentless debate. Comments flooded the screen like an unstoppable waterfall. How dare they question my mom? You guys are something else, he muttered, though his eyes never left the screen. His mother, Yan Yuyu, was right there in that expedition team, and his father, Fanqing, had warned him time and again that anything could happen inside an ancient tomb. Every single step could be a deadly trap. So, despite his irritation at the comments, he forced down his anger and focused intently on the screen, trying to figure out how he could protect his mother in his own way. Back on the live broadcast, Yan Yuyu didn't dwell on the issue. She simply glanced at the chat, confirming that the little genius hadn't sent any more messages. Then she quickly caught up with the rest of the team. The path ahead was becoming increasingly treacherous, scattered with dangerous, hidden mud bubbles. One wrong step and you'd be swallowed whole. The main group had no choice but to wait in place. Wei Yang personally led the way, on with Yang Yuyu,
甲午就为
Lolong, and 3 other archaeologists,
along with 4 special forces soldiers. Together, this 11-member advance team ventured deeper inside.
The highly experienced Special Forces soldiers were exceptionally alert to the seemingly calm puddles beneath their feet,
guiding everyone around them for over 30 minutes, before finally reaching the designated coordinates. The moment they arrived,
Brain Ren ordered the few scholars to use Luoyang shovels to collect some soil sample,
hoping to make a preliminary assessment based on the age of the soil layers. But just a few minutes later, the scholars looked up, one by one, with troubled expressions. Professor, the soil here is incredibly wet. You can't even see the soil layers.
Yeah, this humidity is totally abnormal.
Hearing this, Yan Yuyu's heart skipped a beat. She clearly remembered what little genius had said earlier,
that using a Luoyang shovel here was a complete waste of effort.
Right at that moment, another comment from little genius floated across the screen. Their entrance should be at the 12 o'clock direction, with that young lady as the center. Take 7 steps, and they'll find it.
Yang Yuyu stared at those words,
a cold sweat breaking out on her palms. She was just about to go tell Guanren when she read the next line. Whatever you do not dig up that locust tree ahead, and absolutely do not touch the surrounding soil. Remember this. Keep this in mind. Otherwise, something terrible will definitely happen. This warning came completely out of nowhere, leaving Yang Yuyu's mind filled with question marks. The viewers in the live stream chat also began buzzing with discussion. Some even asked those experienced diggers what it actually meant. But those diggers were just as baffled, since most of them didn't really understand feng shui anyway, and couldn't make heads or tails of it on short notice.
Yang Yuyu 正喝醉退场。
She hurried out at the Wuanjai
and recounted the comment too in detail. Ding Ran's brow furrowed slightly as he listened, his gaze landing on the old locust tree. After a brief silence, he spoke. Shi Rulong, take 2 men and dig over there. Shi Rulong was instantly annoyed, thinking, how capable could someone pointing fingers through a screen actually be? But with Wenern's absolute authority, and not how reluctant he was, he could only call over 2 helpers and bite the bullet. Professor Xiao, not over there. Little genius said we absolutely cannot dig there. Her cry was so urgent and sudden that everyone stopped their work and looked back at her. And Yulu hurriedly repeated little genius's warning once more. As soon as she finished speaking, soft snickers echoed around them. Can't dig or something will happen? Miss Yang, your words are starting to sound a bit like old-fashioned superstition. What, are we going to run into a ghost just by digging under a locust tree? Now I'm really starting to doubt if that viewer actually has any real skills. Sherwoman was also starting to feel uneasy. The more he dug, the more he felt like he was just wasting his time. But shovel after shovel, the texture of the soil beneath his shovel suddenly began to change. His heart skipped a beat. Instinctively, he picked up the pace. Comrade Zhang, we live in modern times now. We can't believe in those outdated superstitions. Gods, ghosts, it's all completely fake. Your mindset needs to keep up with the times. Yang Yi watched as the 2 scholars went about their business. Her lips parted, but she hesitated, not knowing what to say. After all, these were just anonymous comments from the live stream. If anyone actually pressed her for details, she wouldn't even know how to answer. Meanwhile, staring at the screen, Yi Lingling's face grew pale. She remembered it vividly. Her dad had warned her. A grave to the left of a locust tree, and a spirit to its right. Those trees are natural magnets for dark energy. He never even allowed her to linger in their shade, and he warned her that if she ever had to dig, the area around a locust tree's roots was strictly off limits. In the old days, to deny the dead any peace, people would deliberately bury them under a locust tree. Its intense dark energy traps the soul, making it impossible for them to ever move on. At that thought, Yongling instinctively grabbed the small protective dagger on her desk, scanning the secret room with tense, wary eyes. My house. Shouldn't have anything like that, right? Before the words even left her mouth, she felt a sudden, icy chill creep down her spine. It felt like an unseen pair of eyes was staring right at her. She tensed, shivering, but she stubbornly gripped her phone, refusing to look away from the screen. For her mother's sake, she had to keep watching, no matter how terrified she was. Taking a deep breath, she opened her father's old diary, screaming to find any entries related to this. She barely remembered the warnings I Ching had given her in the past. So now, she had to cram as much information as possible to keep her mother safe. Back on the live stream, both groups were digging with everything they had. Just then,
Zhao Juzhen suddenly let out a sharp scream.
everyone rushed over to see. Half of a skeleton was buried right there in the wet mud. A few shredded bits of rotted fabric still clung to the bones. By the looks of it, it had been buried for at least several decades. The moment those bones appeared, the live stream chat absolutely exploded. Holy crap!
We really shouldn't have dug this up.
How on earth did that little genius know? Now that's a real expert. Calling it this accurately through a screen is insane. This is mind-blowing.
Bye. A viewer who hadn't chimed in for ages suddenly popped up with a comment. I heard the elders in my family talk about this years ago. Locust trees are inherently yin, drawing in dark, negative energy.
Anyone deliberately buried under a locust tree
Is being cursed. It's meant to block their soul from reincarnating, torturing them for eternity.
Back then, I thought the old folks were just talking nonsense.
I never expected to see it with my own eyes today.
Yan Yulu stared at the rolling comments, when suddenly she felt a cold shiver run down the back of her neck. It felt as if someone was breathing right against her ear.
She whipped her head around.
But there was nothing behind her, except the silent, ancient locust tree. Yet, the weight on her body had definitely changed.
It felt as if something was sullenly, stealthily clinging to her shoulders. She didn't dare think about it any further.
Shaking off the dread, she quickly repeated the viewer's comments to Professor Goen Ren.
The old professor listened and sank into deep thought once more. Feudal superstition.
This is nothing but absolute, utter nonsense.
But before he could even finish speaking, Zhao Zhezhen anxiously cut him off. What's so strange about a body being buried next to a tree?
How does that have anything to do with dark energy? This is ridiculous, he scoffed. Yet, as he scrabbled out of the dirt pit, he smoothly bowed to the skeleton in a gesture so practiced, it looked like he had done it 1,000 times. The team members watching him could only twitch their lips in disbelief. Talk about claiming to be a materialist. But your body is being awfully honest. The live stream chat erupted in a chorus of laughter. But before the laughter could fade,
取入人延后盘的钥匙。我反在。
we actually found it. This shout instantly energized everyone. They all crowded around to look. A white, putty-like rock wall was emerging from beneath the wet mud. Haha. Sealing clay. It's classic Song Dynasty sealing clay. This stuff is harder than modern cement.
Quickly, everyone, keep digging down.
But Professor Guanren simply looked up, staring silently in Yang Yuyu's direction, the ancient corpse under the locust tree and the sealed earth layer right beneath their feet. The fact that this little genius predicted all of this beforehand. Doing it once might just be a coincidence, but getting it right over and over again? No way in hell that's a fluke. As for whether digging up a corpse under a locust tree would bring down a curse, although he didn't take it seriously, he couldn't completely rule it out either. By now, the live stream chat had gone absolutely wild. He predicted every single thing. The locust tree, the corpse, the sealed layer's location, even the fact that they couldn't use the soil. He got every detail right. If that's not real power, I'll rip my own head off and let you guys sit on it. Man, I just want to know who this legendary boss really is. Then, Bai chimed in again. Although some people might dismiss this as backward superstition, but believe it or not, these things are very real. I really shouldn't say too much. Here, say any more, and my account is history. Though his words were cryptic, the viewers knew exactly what he was hinting at. There was definitely something down there, and a collective shiver ran right down everyone's spine. Quite a few people instinctively looked over their shoulders, terrified they'd see something lurking behind them. Looking at the chat, Ye Lingling saw the viewers completely shifting their stance. A tiny smirk started to creep onto her face, but before she could even celebrate her little victory, out of the corner of her eye, she noticed a few Special Forces officers on the screen, pulling out explosives. She recognized what they were instantly, and her heart skipped a beat. Her dad had specifically warned her about this. Before, a tomb with an intact sealed earth layer must never be blown open with explosives. The moisture and toxic corpse gases trapped inside for centuries had long since turned into a highly volatile explosive mixture. Setting off a bomb, right now, was a straight-up suicide mission. She couldn't afford to wait another second. Free frantically started voice typing into her phone, scrambling through the diary for the exact words to use, and fired off the warning as fast as she could. Since Young Yugo couldn't help with the actual digging, she stood off to the side, keeping her eyes glued to her phone. Don't use explosives! The moment that comment from Little Genius popped up, it immediately caught her eye. Zhao Zhisen froze, stopped what he was doing, and turned to look at her. What do you mean we can't use explosives? As he asked, he instinctively rolled his shoulders, feeling like there was something heavy clinging to his back, weighing him down. But when he reached back to swat at it, there was absolutely nothing there. He frowned. She chalked it up to being exhausted lately, and didn't think any more of it. The tomb has been sealed for so long. The moisture and tomb gas inside have mixed to form highly flammable explosive gases. If we set off any explosives, the whole place will blow up instantly.
So we absolutely cannot use explosives.
To deal with this kind of Song Dynasty rammed earth, explosives are the most direct and efficient way.
浇筑蒸促使我的磨慢，靠黑人的事。
Then let out a laugh. If we control the dosage and only shatter the rammed earth layer, leaving the structure inside intact, nothing will go wrong, right? We've always opened them like this in the past, and nothing has ever happened. If there were really a risk of an explosion, we would have died dozens of times already. Yang Yuyu was at a loss for words, unable to argue back. She could only grip her phone tightly. Those older tomb mounds had already been broken into by grave robbers, who dug tunnels first, so the gas had already leaked out. Naturally, there was no risk of an explosion, but the mound in front of us is perfectly intact. It's completely different from before. As her voice faded, the air around them seemed to drop a few degrees. Before Zhao Juten even pulled back the smile on his face, his brain finally caught up. Hey, soldier.
Don't detonate the explosives. Bring them back, quick.
To avoid damaging the structure inside, we better just dig with shovels. His sudden change of face was so fast, it was even smoother than his previous bow to Hai Guo.
The live chat immediately filled with a wave of, "Hello." He says one thing,
But his body is very honest.
Jokes aside, after thousands of comments flashed by,
The atmosphere turned heavy. Jokes aside, after thousands of comments flashed by, the atmosphere turned heavy. Once they realized this, a cold wave of fear washed out everyone's spines like ice water.
Yang Yu's back was already drenched in cold sweat.
For the first time, she truly realized the danger of this archaeological expedition went far beyond what she had imagined when signing that agreement in the conference room.
Back at the Archaeological Research Institute,
Pak Chuang leaped out of his chair for the third time.
him again. It's him again. That was way too close. That was incredibly close. He paced around his desk, unable to calm down.
Buttering under his breath the entire time.
He knew better than anyone else.
Years ago, an elite archaeological team of top-tier scholars tried to break through a perfectly preserved ceiling layer.
They used explosives, which instantly ignited the methane trapped inside the tomb. The entire team was wiped out. Not a single soul survived.
That tragedy sent shockwaves through the country. For 3 whole days, the news was absolutely everywhere.
And just now, that exact same horror almost repeated itself on another mountain.
Bai Cheng stared at the screen, his eyes locked onto the username, Little Genius.
His gaze grew darker and more intense.
Pulling out his phone, he quickly dialed Wan Yukai again. Hey, old Wan, what's the situation on your end? Have you made any breakthroughs?
Villa number 23 is massive.
We're still figuring out our entry strategy. Should we just show our badges and go in, or keep observing from the shadows? But the tech department just sent over a new piece of information.
I think you'll find this very interesting.
What is it? That's what he's doing.
Don't keep me in suspense.
spit it out already. Wan Yukai stopped teasing him.
Remember how I asked Tech to look into the real identity of the owner of Villa 23? Well, guess what? They got back to me. The files for Villa 23 in the Kenya estate show absolutely no registered owner. It's marked as vacant.
What? Vacant? But I clearly saw. Watukai exhaled a puff of smoke and whispered, "What you saw is exactly what I'm seeing right now. That villa is currently lit up like a Christmas tree."
Bai Chong's grip on his phone tightened. Thoughts raced through his mind.
Are you saying the owner's identity is being intentionally protected?
Most likely. When the tech department tried to run a check on the Little Genius account,
He hit the exact same roadblock. Access denied.
to have your access locked down from both sides, the property registry and the platform's user database. Whoever this is, they are definitely not ordinary.
Ba Chong fell silent.
A grave robber with their identity heavily classified to this extreme?
Unless,
Old Mong, do you think it's possible this person isn't even from China? If they came in from overseas, there wouldn't be any record of them in our databases anyway.
when the system searches and hits a blank entry, it might just default to insufficient access permission.
I wouldn't rule that out. A person whose identity is a complete ghost.
Instead, they're the hardest to predict.
If that's really the case, then tonight we might not just be dealing with ordinary tomb raiders. Old B, this could be our ticket to a major medal. And according to what that girl exposed,
This bastard has stolen quite a few of China's precious treasures.
hearing this, Bai Chong's mind went into a frenzy. No, wait. If this guy is working for someone overseas,
Why is he still in the live stream guiding the archaeology team? What's his angle?
you still don't get it? He's using the archaeology team as his advance party.
He's probably already on his way there.
But this is all just speculation for now.
We won't know for sure until we track him down.
This realization hit Bai Chong like a thunderclap.
After a brief stun, he managed to say, "Got it. I'll contact the Archaeological Institute right away." His mind was still in a complete whirl, and he couldn't quite wrap his head around it all. But if that Little Genius really is an overseas operative, then his helpful guidance right now is just a trap. Once he gains their trust, he'll use them to lead the archaeology team straight to their graves. He couldn't let that happen. Without wasting a second, Bai Chong called the Archaeological Institute. Since Bai Chong only worked at a local research station, he didn't have a direct line to the active expedition team. But Bai Chong's mentor, Professor Chen, held a position right inside the institute. Professor Q had once told Bai Chong that there were many foreign tomb raiders in China who specialized in stealing Chinese relics and smuggling them abroad. The Archaeological Institute had also been closely following the live stream, so they naturally knew about the viewer named Little Genius. After receiving Bai Chong's call, Professor Chan, one of the experts there, slightly exaggerated the threat of the overseas connection to the other experts in the conference room. Unbelievable! A foreigner actually has such a massive conspiracy. Notify the expedition team immediately. Don't let them fall for it. Damn it. He actually wants to get them killed. I was wondering why such a highly skilled tomb raider would suddenly pop up out of nowhere. Turns out he has ulterior motives. The experts in the conference room were furious. As he listened to them, Professor Chan suppressed a smirk and quickly pulled out his phone to contact the expedition team, warning them about the overseas threat on the live stream. Since they had to open it up manually, piece by piece, the task turned out to be quite an undertaking. It would even take up way too much time. Just then, Zhao Jisen suddenly received a phone call. Honest aim, and the moment he heard what the caller had to say, Zhao Jisen's pupils shrunk in sheer shock. His eyes darted straight toward Yang Yuyu. He quickly rushed over and whispered the shocking news to Guanern. This terrifying speculation sent shivers straight down Guanern's spine. It felt as if he had just escaped the very gates of hell. He knew that Yang Yuyu, standing in the distance, must have noticed something, but she didn't seem to care at all. Meanwhile, since everyone at the scene was starting to get a bit bored, Shiruo-san seemed to recall something. He kept working while sharing an old story from the past. It happened a long time ago. My grandfather's family was incredibly wealthy, but since he was a spoiled rich kid, he wasted his days doing absolutely nothing, smoking opium constantly. After my great-grandparents passed away, my grandfather became even more reckless, squandering the family fortune without a care. Even though the family was loaded, he managed to blow through every single cent in just a few years. Once the money ran out, he started selling off the furniture, selling off anything and everything he could get his hands on. He was getting older and older, but still couldn't find a wife. Until one day, he ran into a paper doll craftsman. The man asked my grandfather if he wanted a wife. My grandfather, puffing on his opium pipe, readily agreed. He even handed over the very last silver dollar he had on him. After all, she was going to be a young bride. Who knew? Maybe she could even help him make more money. My grandfather was thinking just that. So he waited and waited at home. Sure enough, that very night, a breathtakingly beautiful woman knocked on his door. Back then, smoking opium was my grandfather's entire life. The neighbors had grown terrified of him asking to borrow money, so absolutely no one would ever dare visit him. By the time dusk fell, that girl looked incredibly beautiful and radiant. She looked exactly like a daughter from a wealthy, respectable family. My grandfather adored her instantly. He quickly welcomed her inside, asking her all kinds of questions. And when he realized she was indeed the bride he bought for just $1 silver, he was absolutely over the moon. But after that one night, my grandfather woke up the next morning and bolted upright in sheer terror. The thing sleeping right next to him was no beautiful maiden. It was a creepy paper doll, painted with Garris rouge and watercolors. Good lord, it scared my grandfather half to death, and he immediately dragged it outside to throw it away. But just as he was about to set it on fire, a chilling voice suddenly echoed. "You heartless man! We promised to stay together forever, just last night. And first thing in the morning, you're all ready." Before Shiruo could even finish his sentence.
交的不钱，出是明白拉的，握得好这于陶剑道。
Stop spouting that superstitious nonsense here. Zhao Juqin's expression was incredibly sour. The surrounding atmosphere was already creepy and freezing cold. Now that Shi Rulong was telling a ghost story on top of that, who wouldn't feel completely freaked out? As the onlookers listened, they all began to feel a heavy sensation, as if something was clinging to their backs. But when they turned around, there was absolutely nothing there. They figured it was probably just a psychological reaction triggered by the story. The atmosphere on site grew increasingly bizarre. Even Yang Yuyu, who was standing further up, felt a sudden icy chill. She subconsciously rubbed her hands together, and then she spotted what looked like someone crouching in the distance, whispering. But when Yang Yuyu rubbed her eyes and looked again, the figure had completely vanished.
杨拥有是地比跑走。
Was she just seeing things? Right then, a viewer named Little Genius sent another message in the live stream chat. When entering a tomb, you must wear a mask and gloves. Absolutely do not touch anything randomly. It is a massive taboo to leave a living person's breath inside the tomb. Doing so will anger the master of the tomb. Also, once the coffin is opened, you must never breathe directly onto the corpse. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. As soon as the comment appeared, the livestream chat completely erupted. Why can't we breathe on the corpse? What's the science behind this? While the viewers were still wondering, a viewer named Bai immediately stepped in to explain. The taboos mentioned by Little Genius are actually unspoken rules within the industry. It's just that they aren't usually talked about.
openly. Among them, wearing gloves is to avoid leaving a living person's energy inside the tomb, because that would anger the tomb's master.
And breathing on the corpse follows the exact same logic. Once you anger the master of the tomb,
You might never make it out alive. As for how you won't make it out,
you can search on Baidu yourself about the disappearance of several archaeological teams in the past.
and as for wearing a mask, it's to protect against other toxic substances in the tomb.
This explanation made the viewers exclaim that they had learned something new. As for those viewers who actually went and searched it up, they were so terrified that they immediately rushed to order black dog's blood and peach wood swords. Though, as for why they did that, nobody came forward to explain.
Watching the content on her live stream screen, Yang Yu felt like she had learned a valuable lesson too.
Then, she scrambled to tell Guanern what was happening in the live stream. I mean, wearing gloves is just standard procedure.
Of course we do that to protect the artifacts.
As for that bad omen the viewer mentioned, well, that's just superstitious nonsense. Hard to take seriously.
杨悠悠叫小兰。
Something just felt off. Meanwhile, the moment Jiao Jusen finished speaking, he subconsciously scratched his back again. That's weird. Why does it feel like something is crawling on my back?
Maybe the humidity is giving me eczema?
Forget it. I'll check it when we get back. Hearing Jiao Jusen's mumbling,
杨就有卤出。
she let out a shaky laugh, but by the time she snapped out of it,
She realized there was no man there at all. Everyone stared at her, completely bewildered.
Yang Yu's face went pale.
she shook her head, trying to play it off. I'm fine.
I just saw an earthworm.
The others didn't think much of it and turned away. By now, the sealed earth had been cleared away.
Reveal what lay beneath. They were standing right at the entrance of the tomb passage, so there was no blocking wall in sight.
But as Guanern took this in, he frowned and shone his flashlight inside. Something was definitely off.
This passage, it's too small.
It doesn't look like the massive tomb we found earlier.
Everyone froze.
What do you mean, Professor? Does that mean we dug in the wrong place?
No way. We've been digging for so long. How could we get the wrong spot?
Did the geologist completely mess up the survey? If everyone stared in disbelief, Guran fell into deep thought. No, this is a secondary tomb. For the children.
Yes, that actually makes sense. It's highly likely a subsidiary tomb. This is just a branch tomb.
And the path connected to it must lead to the actual main chamber.
Our little genius is absolutely right.
But the moment Yang Yu finished speaking,
Fanqing's face suddenly stiffened.
he quickly ordered everyone to wait for the toxic tomb gas to clear before heading inside. His sudden shift in attitude only made Yang Yu more certain. Something was deeply wrong. They definitely knew something they weren't letting on. That explains his sudden change of heart. Meanwhile, in the livestream chat, the viewers were absolutely floored by the little genius's spot-on deduction. Holy cow! Even the experts didn't know that. But you did? She really is a grand master. No wonder she has the secrets of 4 different ancient schools in the palm of her hand. At the same time, some sharp-eyed viewers noticed Professor Gu's sudden shift and started speculating. Wait, guys, does anyone else feel like Professor Gu's attitude is a bit off? He was clearly thrilled when he heard her deduction. Meanwhile, inside the villa, Lely was frantically flipping through her notebook, trying to cross-reference it with the live stream to find the answers. If I had studied this hard back in school,
I would have gotten a perfect score long ago.
she mumbled to herself. Then, looking at Yang Yu on the screen, she steeled her resolve. Dad said we must never let Mom find out we know so much about tomb raiding. So this is the only way I can help. Help, Mom? But this tomb seems so bizarre. Meanwhile, inside a fried chicken joint, Fanqing was staring at a game of Go nearby, completely transfixed. The fried chicken in his hand had already gone cold. As for his sweet, adorable daughter, she had long been completely forgotten. The other diners, who had been watching the archaeological livestream while waiting in line, were now sitting down with their trays, glued to the screen with immense interest. The show was actually pretty interesting. Don't tell me there are actual zombies in that tomb. Nah, no way. It's probably just that little genius showing off, one of the diners muttered, taking a bite of his chicken leg. Yiking, still engrossed in the Go game, caught bits of their conversation. He subconsciously looked up, but quickly looked back down. Little genius was such an overused term nowadays. Whenever he tried to teach his daughter about tomb raiding, she never had the patience to listen. There was no way she'd be watching some archaeology live stream. He decided to focus on the game. Wait, was he forgetting something? This move is actually quite clever. If this keeps up, the black pieces are going to lose. As Yu Cheng focused on the game, whatever he had been trying to remember vanished completely from his mind. Meanwhile, on the live stream screen, Professor Gu and his team were getting ready to enter the tomb. 2 Special Forces soldiers wearing gas masks went in first. Once they confirmed the oxygen levels were safe, they signaled the archaeologists to make their way down. Professor Gu, Shirulong, and several other archaeologists entered the chamber, with Yang Yu following closely behind. The team then moved into the side chamber to begin their investigation.
He would closely study the characteristics of those wooden bricks and other details.
While Yang Yuju was asking questions,
Thing Wen's also spoke up. Professor, look here. This burial style is clearly a copy made by foreign vassals who tried to imitate Central Plains culture. You can tell they really wanted to capture the essence of Central Plains burial culture, but they still ended up just blindly copying it, and they still placed items used by the tomb owner during their lifetime. Things like that. But here, the tomb owner placed a lot of animal remains.
This clearly aligns with the traits of nomadic tribes. As they spoke,
The group began to enter the main burial chamber. In the center of the main burial chamber sat an ancient, weathered coffin. Just looking at it sent a shiver down everyone's spine, especially after they had just listened to Shiri Hen's ghost story, making them worry even more that whatever was inside that coffin might suddenly start talking.
Fanqing, however, clearly wasn't overthinking it.
Instead, she shone his flashlight around, illuminating the murals on the tomb walls. Look, everyone. These murals clearly record the key events of the tomb owner's life, from their childhood all the way to adulthood. However, it's still hard to pinpoint the tomb owner's identity just from these murals. For a moment, Guanern fell into deep thought. He stared at a specific pattern on the mural, feeling like he had seen it somewhere before, but he just couldn't place it.
is this what a real tomb looks like?
It's a bit different from what I imagined. Haha. Did the guy above think this was a movie? Like it's supposed to be some massive, sprawling hall? That's all made up. Too funny. Real tombs are incredibly cramped like this. In fact, the tomb Yang Yuyu and the others were in was already considered quite large. As for that mysterious ancient tomb of unknown origin at Mount Li, that was a complete and utter exception. Just as the viewers in the live stream were buzzing with discussion, Yi Lingling sent another comment. A general's tomb. This is a general's tomb. This comment instantly triggered another wave of excitement in the chat. The words general's tomb acted like a key, instantly unlocking Guanran's memories. Yes, it's a general. This pattern on the mural represented the legendary Fenglang Josu rank in the Jin Kingdom, which means... But right as Guanran said this, his face darkened and he went dead silent, because he instantly realized that this warning must have come from that overseas user. Haha, let me throw out a theory. Could it be that all these comments were actually posted by that girl herself, and not her Tomb Raider dad? Okay, the guy above me is getting a bit ridiculous. How is that even possible? Watching the live comments, Yang Yuyu stared in utter confusion. In her mind, she couldn't help but picture Yi Lingling's quirky, mischievous little face. No way. It's impossible. Her daughter is so sweet and obedient. How could she possibly know anything about tomb robbing? Besides, her husband is just an ordinary run-of-the-mill rich guy. That username has to be a coincidence. A massive coincidence. Meanwhile, inside the villa's secret room, Yi Lingling stared at the live chat, her sense of accomplishment swelling by the second. She raised her eyebrows, unowning to fight back the smirk creeping onto her face. Not bad, Yi Lingling. Even the professor doesn't know as much as you do. Guess flipping through Dad's old books really paid off. As she spoke, her eyes fell upon that old diary. She grabbed a pen and boldly scribbled the 3 words, Yi Lingling, right across the cover. Yep, perfect. She patted the cover with satisfaction, muttering, now it's mine. Then she kept flipping through the pages, looking exactly like a teacher preparing a lesson. Except she was only learning the material one night ahead of her class. But just as Yiling was lost in thought, out of the corner of her eye, she glimpsed something terrifying on the live stream. Don't open the coffin! You can't just open it like that. The raw panic in the voice through the screen made Yang Yuyu's heart seize. Don't open the coffin. Haha, Miss Yang, please tell our friend online that we have no intention of opening the coffin inside the tomb. We don't have proper containment here. A helicopter will be arriving shortly to transport it. But just as Professor Gu was speaking, a heavy, scraping sound echoed from behind him, followed by a low, ominous hum. Everyone at the scene instantly whipped their heads around toward the noise, only to see, to their absolute horror, Yao Jusen standing there with his neck twisted at an unnatural angle. His skin was turning pitch black, and he was muttering some strange, cryptic gibberish under his breath. Without wearing any protective gear on his hands, he had his bare palms pressed flat against the coffin lid, pushing it with terrifying force. Zhao Juzen, what the hell are you doing? Stop! Don't open that coffin! Don't open it! But as the crowd stared at Yao Jusen's bizarre appearance, a chill ran straight down their spines. He had just been preaching about believing in science, but right now, for some unknown reason, Yao Jusen's skin had turned pitch black, as if he were possessed by some terrifying entity. In this manic state, pushing the heavy coffin lid, he didn't look like Zhao Jusen at all. As a distinguished professor, how could Zhao Jun ever make such a rookie mistake? The other members of the archaeological team didn't even dare to step forward to stop him. Only 2 special forces soldiers, who put their ultimate faith in firepower, rushed forward to stop him after Guanern's startled cry. Let go of the coffin! Use your strength! Pull him away! What is going on?
How can Professor Zhao be this strong?
Both Special Forces soldiers had undergone intense, high-strength training.
That's a seemingly frail professor. One of them should have been more than enough to handle him. Sending in 2 men was meant to subdue him instantly. But to their utter shock, the frail-looking Jeju Zen possessed a terrifying, monstrous strength.
He was as strong as 2 wild bulls. With a sudden, violent thrust, Zhao Jisen's arms flexed.
He let out a guttural roar. His horrific strength instantly throwing the 2 Special Forces soldiers back.
Then, Zhao Jisen began muttering those incomprehensible, eerie words again. The bizarre sight sent a bone-chilling shiver through everyone present, their clothes already drenched in cold sweat.
Holy crap, holy crap! What the hell is going on? Seriously, what is happening? Am I watching an actual archaeological live stream? Or a damn horror movie? Oh my god, this is insane! Can someone please explain what this is? Bai's comments immediately sent the livestream's popularity soaring to a whole new level. This bizarre event quickly pushed the archaeological livestream to the top of the hot search trends, leaving poor Fanqing completely overshadowed once again.
Little genius, please come back and help us.
Otherwise, who knows how terrible this situation will get? But no matter how much the audience pleaded,
Little Genius didn't send a single comment, leaving everyone utterly confused
and extremely anxious. Meanwhile, in the local archaeological institute, Bai Chong's eyes lit up.
He cursed under his breath. I knew it. It really is those foreigners.
No wonder they said you can't dig under the pagoda tree. Now that something went wrong, they won't even show their face to explain.
Oh, great. I knew there was something fishy.
A massive, glaring problem.
Then Bai Chong's mentor at the Institute of Archaeology, Chen Suas-Chang, posted a message sharing his own theories.
This whole possessed by evil spirits nonsense simply doesn't exist in a world ruled by science. It's got to be those foreigners, planting some kind of bacteria beforehand.
It'll drive a person completely insane.
After reading these messages, Bai Chong felt a cold shiver run down his spine.
He despised this so-called little genius even more now.
Ode Wang, what's the situation over there?
This place is too damn weird. It is absolutely mind-bendingly creepy. What do you mean, creepy? Right after I got off the phone with you, I was getting ready to head straight through the front door. I even stationed my guys all around the perimeter to make sure no one could jump out of the windows.
But guess what?
The front door wasn't even locked.
I thought that was pretty damn strange.
But the second I pushed it open, every single light in the house went pitch black.
Right then, I knew for a fact those bastards were still inside.
So I didn't waste a second. I charged right in. But here's the crazy part. I kept walking down their hallway for minutes, but it just wouldn't end.
At first, I thought the place was just massive.
But after walking in circles, I realized I was right back where I started. What kind of sick, twisted joke is this? I've been in this line of work my whole life, and I have never, ever encountered anything so bizarre. I even had a colleague walk in the opposite direction. But we passed right by each other without even realizing it. By the time we turned around, he was suddenly right behind me. And now, we're completely trapped. Here, even the door we came in through is completely gone. Hearing the panic in old Bong's voice,
Bai Chong swallowed hard.
his entire body began to tremble. A long time ago, Bai Chong had heard of this phenomenon. It was the infamous ghost wall illusion. No one knew the actual science behind it. Most people just claimed it was some kind of hypnosis that clouded a person's mind. But if it were just one person, you could write it off as a hallucination. But what about 2 people? What about 3? It was impossible for everyone to lose their minds at the exact same time and hallucinate the exact same thing. A chilling dread instantly washed over Bai Chong, causing him to shudder involuntarily. At the same time, his heart was full of curiosity about the true identity of this little genius. What kind of entity were they dealing with? And where on earth did these outsiders from overseas actually come from? The fog was growing thicker by the second. At first, he could vaguely make out the outline of the truth. But now, and by now, they had vanished without a trace. There was very little Bai Chong could do right now. All he could do was try to keep old Woe's spirits up. The archaeological team is currently in grave danger. Only if you capture those wretched, plundering foreigners can we turn the tide and save them. Bai Chong listened to the dial tone buzzing in his ear and turned his attention back to the live stream.
By now, even the Special Forces soldiers couldn't hold it down.
想要救神，还有瑞斯的 coffin 里插为 open。
Yet, absolutely no one dared to step forward and stop him.
The 2 Special Forces soldiers wanted to fire their weapons, but Guanan quickly held them back. As the massive coffin lid was pushed further open, the temperature in the chamber plummeted instantly, turning bone-chillingly cold, as if a sudden cold wave had swept in.
Even the faintest draft felt like sharp blades slicing against their skin. But more than the cold, it was the sheer, suffocating dread.
That! The coffin lid crashed heavily onto the ground, and the entire chamber fell into a terrifying, dead silence. Everyone held their breath. At that exact moment, a pair of pale greenish hands slowly rose from inside the coffin. In sheer terror, Yang Yu wanted to scream, but She instantly slapped her hands over her mouth, clamping it shut. With eyes wide with horror, she stared at the scene unfolding before her. What lay in that coffin was supposed to be a corpse, but now that very corpse was slowly raising its hands. This sight, defying all logic and common sense, made every single hair on her body stand on end. Cold sweat dripped continuously from her forehead down her cheeks. Terror and sheer panic swirled violently in her chest.
But at this moment, Yang Yu was far from the only one consumed by this dread.
The faces of everyone around her instantly turned deathly pale. Their bodies shook uncontrollably. Even the two Special Forces soldiers, who had spent their lives putting their absolute faith in firepower, felt a deep, agonizing wave of self-doubt wash over them for the very first time. In all their years of living, was the world they knew even real? Terror was spreading like wildfire through everyone's hearts. Every single flashlight in their hands began to flicker and fail, as if malfunctioning. Their nerves, already stretched to their absolute limit, were pushed to the breaking point by the dying, intermittent light. But of everyone there, the most terrified was actually Shi Rulong. He instinctively took a half step back, only for his back to slam hard against a cold, solid stone wall.
What? Shi Rulong turned back in absolute horror.
He remembered with absolute clarity that he had just been standing right by the entrance. There was supposed to be nothing but empty space behind him. So how was there suddenly a solid wall right behind him, out of thin air? But on the other side, the wall that should have been covered in murals is now completely blank. It looks as if it was violently wiped clean by something. Shi Rulong keeps muttering under his breath, his eyes scanning the tomb chamber in a frantic panic. His entire body is shaking worse than ever.
Yara notices Wei Wulong's state
And immediately senses other subtle changes happening inside the tomb. This kind of situation, one that completely defies common sense, makes even a leader as composed as him feel his scalp tingle with fear. But right at this moment, his faith in that young genius actually deepens even more. If this really was a trap laid by those foreigners, how could they have given such precise, flawless guidance at every single turn? Yet, the Archaeological Institute seems 100% convinced that the person has ulterior motives. The tomb chamber remains shrouded in a suffocating, heavy silence. Nobody makes a sound. Even Professor Zhao, who was raving mad just moments ago, now stands frozen in place, staring blankly, like an empty shell stripped of its soul. Inside the sarcophagus, those pale green arms remain hanging there, completely motionless, as if they have grown there since the dawn of time. Ring! Ring! Suddenly, the sudden blare of a cell phone shatters the dead silence. Everyone flinches violently, cold sweat pouring down their backs once again. Two Special Forces soldiers almost pull their triggers right then and there. Only when they snap out of it do they realize it is just a phone on the floor, vibrating. A collective sigh of relief sweeps through the room. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Shi Rulong, who is standing closest, bends down to pick it up. His fingers are still trembling.
Purposes. Answer.
And as he listens to the voice on the other end, his pupils dilate in shock. He subconsciously mumbles a few words. What do you mean? A trap laid by foreigners? Those words leave everyone in the room utterly dumbfounded. They exchange baffled looks, with expressions that seem to say, was everything we just went through a lie? Nodding along as he stands up, Shi Rulong says, it is true. This was all the foreigners doing. Hanging up, he explains to the group, they released a massive amount of virus around here beforehand. They suspect this virus can cause mental instability and loss of behavioral control, just like what happened to Professor Zhao. After hearing this, a deep, lingering confusion still hangs on everyone's faces.
Tamuan frowned. Then what about this wall?
He raised his hand, pointing at the stone wall beside them.
Shi Rulong opened and closed his mouth,
Forcing out a strained, awkward explanation. Maybe it was a collective hallucination. In reality, from the very beginning, we came in from the other side. Even with him putting it that way, everyone was still completely shaken. This theory wasn't entirely baseless, but it was so forced that it was hard to believe. It was like a puzzle piece that didn't fit at all, being violently hammered into place. While everyone was still hesitating, the live stream chat had completely exploded. Many people didn't believe the so-called overseas agent theory at first, but someone quickly started stirring the pot. It's highly likely that the overseas agents are behind this. And I bet that overseas agent is right there in the archaeological team. The only ones who could have messed with things are the people on site. Combined with that, little genius spamming the chat and poisoning them at the same time,
没听假酒神够 crazy.
just to create a terrifying, suspenseful effect. The person above makes sense. With this, the theory that little genius is an overseas agent is basically confirmed. Exactly. I also think something is seriously wrong with little genius. Didn't you notice? Ever since Zhao Zhishin suddenly went mad, little genius hasn't sent a single comment.
What does that prove?
They ran away. Makes sense. Totally makes sense. 900-527. Hurry up and arrest them. The tide in the live chat was turning at lightning speed. As more and more people became convinced that little genius was indeed an overseas agent, this conclusion was practically cemented on the screen. Meanwhile, inside the secret room, Yi Ling was wiping away her tears with the back of her hand, over and over. Her shoulders trembled with a deep sense of grievance. Ling isn't an overseas agent. Ling really isn't. Dad.
Why aren't you back yet? Why aren't you back yet?
Mom is in danger. Mom is really in danger. She had tried to call Fanqing, only to realize her dad hadn't even brought his phone with him. Right now, it was lying quietly in the corner of the secret room. At that moment, a bone-chilling panic and helplessness gripped her. But she just took a deep breath. He raised his hand and fiercely wiped away his tears, for Mom's sake. He spread the tomb raiding diary across his lap, focusing 100 times harder than he ever did on his schoolwork, desperately scanning every single line. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He stared intently at one of the pages. That page clearly detailed the exact method to handle this situation. Mom, you have to believe Ling. He had no intention of revealing his identity. If he came forward now and said, "I'm Yi Ling," it would only add confusion and distress to his mom's already terrified state. Instead of that, it was better to keep using the name Little Genius. As long as he could help his mom, who cared if the entire internet flamed him for being an overseas troll? Inside the main tomb chamber, Yang Yuyu kept a close eye on the livestream comments. As for the rumors that Little Genius was an overseas troll, she remained highly skeptical. She couldn't explain why. She had a strong gut feeling. She felt that the person behind that account was someone she could trust. After reading the comments, she quickly walked over to Elder Gu. Elder Gu, Little Genius says we need to light a candle in the southeast corner, and then put the coffin lid back on. What? Light a candle in the southeast corner and then close the coffin? Zhu Shanzhou, an archaeologist standing nearby, sneered immediately. You're actually going to trust someone with an overseas IP? Light a candle? Who knows what kind of gases are trapped in the air of this tomb? If we light a match, the whole place to— Before he could finish, Elder Gu cut him off, barking, "Candle!" Elder Gu raised his hand to silence the room, leaving absolutely no room for argument. His commanding tone made Zhou Shanzhou shut his mouth instantly, but the onlookers' eyes were still filled with confusion. After all, that guy's posting from abroad. How many of those foreigners actually have good intentions? But since Elder Gu had spoken, no one dared to defy him. Shi Rulong was the quickest to react, immediately rummaging through his backpack and pulling out a candle. The candle was originally brought along to test the tomb's ventilation, having absolutely nothing to do with the occult. Ironically, it turned out to be exactly what they needed in this situation. He pulled out his lighter. Just as he was about to spark the flame,